We're parked at the entrance to Whitetail Crossing. This is County Road 2800. It's cutting to the north there. And then the road into Whitetail Crossing goes to the south. We're having the private road widened. We just had this culvert installed. The dozer work is done. The road has been widened, but the grader hasn't gotten in here to shape the road. So you'll see when we get up in a little bit here. I'll go back for just a moment and get another look here. So yeah, once again, we're parked at the start of the easement road, and we're about to go south and look at tract number 2, which is really close. It's the second tract on the right. But as I just mentioned, you'll see in a little bit here how the road, even though it's been substantially widened, it hasn't been shaped yet with the grader. He's going to come in and shape it and crown it in the middle and do ditches on the side. But I was down here in the area, so I wanted to get a quick video so you get to see the kind of the road in its middle stages. There's a post on the right and a survey marker. That's the start of tract 2. So looking off to the right, a few hardwoods, and then you'll see those big pine trees, which are super nice on this property. So that's tract 2 on the right. This area looks a little wet. It just rained out here. I'm going to pull up onto the little cleared site on tract 2. I'm in a pickup truck, and kind of looking at the way the site sits, that's probably the way to go on this one. You can possibly make it in a car, but some of these old stumps that have been cut down could potentially hit the undercarriage of your car. So these stumps that look almost fresh, it wasn't logging that was done. It was actually just the guys were probably cutting down some older stumps or smaller trees that would interfere with the building site or camping site here on tract 2. We'll take a look at this east side, and then I'll walk back into the pine trees, and that's where it gets really pretty, really private. So just be aware when you come out here that it looks like there could be some more work done to this site. These rocks, some medium-sized rocks that could be removed, and some other older stumps that could be cut down or cut a little further. Be aware of that. If you're coming in at night, use extra caution. But it's actually a good sized site. It looks like I could probably pull my truck around the far side of those trees and come on through almost like a circle drive. And now walking back to the west, we immediately get into this beautiful pine grove. I see deer trails everywhere. This is just a spectacular area for deer. And turkey as well, but the deer are just thick out here. I think I mentioned it on a previous video, but about 10 years ago, we had a large property that we had gotten a hold of, which actually borders Whitetail Crossing on the east side. And we sold that off to some hunters, and everyone who ever hunted it said it was just the most fantastic deer hunting they had ever seen. And that seems to have held true on everything else we've seen in this area, that the deer, just for whatever reason, this whole area grows and keeps big white-tailed deer. Oh, and these are great pine trees. don't know how big that one is. That's about a 12 or 14 inch pine tree. Got quite a few larger than that, quite a few smaller. But these are just kind of dream trees for doing a log home or log cabin. I mean, you've got 30, 40, 50 feet of good straight tree. That's about a 16 inch pine right there. Once the property has been paid for in full, you're welcome to harvest the trees if you like. On a property like this, a really good plan would be to probably harvest the most mature, biggest trees and leave the medium and smaller pines. And every few years, you could take some more of the huge ones. Build yourself another little cabin every few years. Sustainable forestry. Looking back to the west, nice big pine grove. And if we were to continue going back directly to the west, this pine grove would eventually end and we'd be back into hardwood trees. Just gorgeous. There's a big pine. That's probably about an 18-inch pine. 18-inch diameter at breast height, I think is how they measure those. Really unique property. Super hard to find property with mature pine like this. When pine prices spike up, as they do, every few years or every decade or so, it seems like all the bigger pines get cut. But this particular property was able to escape that, and we have these old mature pines which are just fantastic. I can see my truck through the trees there. Nice big property, private. Access on that private road makes it even more private. That's tract 2 at Whitetail Crossing, between the towns of Mountain View, Missouri and West Plains, Missouri. Great location, a lot of wildlife.